Most men today live for others, seeking validation, giving their energy away, and sacrificing their ambitions in exchange for crumbs of approval. This weakness leaves them forgotten, powerless, and trapped in mediocrity. But what if I told you there is a secret, a ruthless yet liberating law that can transform your life? The Machiavellian secret is this: stop wasting your time on others. Focus only on yourself. Today, you will learn how. Throughout history, the weak have always been distracted, running after people, chasing approval, wasting their years in the shadows of others. But those who carved their names into eternity, those who built empires and bent the world to their will, lived by a darker, colder truth. They focused entirely on themselves. Machiavelli will reveal why wasting your time on others is the most dangerous mistake a man can make, and how the path to power, wealth, and respect begins when you place yourself above all else. Time, the one treasure that no man, no empire, no prince can ever reclaim once it slips from his grasp. Gold can be stolen, kingdoms can be lost, reputations can be rebuilt, but the hours that vanish will never return. This is the cruel truth that most men ignore. They treat their days as if they are infinite, giving away their minutes to trivialities, spending their energy in pointless pursuits, and bowing to the demands of others as though their life were not their own. You must understand time is the only true currency. It is the foundation of all power, the resource upon which every conquest, every triumph, every legacy is built. A man who learns to protect his time, to invest it wisely, will rise above others like a king among peasants. But a man who squanders his time, who lets it drip away into gossip, distraction, and servitude to others' desires, condemns himself to insignificance. Think of the rulers I once observed in Florence and beyond. The powerful were not always the wealthiest, but they were always the most disciplined with their time. They understood that every hour wasted was a weakness exploited, every moment lost was a rival gaining ground. They did not indulge in endless debates with fools. They did not sit idly to entertain the company of those beneath them. Instead, they guarded their time as they would their throne, granting access to it only when it served their ambition. Yet, what do men do today? They trade their hours for nothing. They allow others to dictate their schedules. They surrender their focus to endless distractions. They act as though their time belongs to everyone but themselves. They scroll, they chatter. They linger in the company of those who offer no growth, no advantage, no strength. Such men are slaves, though no chains bind them, slaves to their own inability to control what is most precious. Consider this carefully. A man's worth can be measured by how he spends his hours. The fool believes he has plenty of time. He spends recklessly, like a gambler squandering his last coin, never realizing that his account is finite and the end approaches faster than he dares to believe. The wise man, the Machiavellian man, hoards his time like a miser hoards gold. He knows that each moment is an investment, that every decision of how to spend an hour is a choice that shapes his destiny. If you are careless with your time, you will become a servant to those who are not. For the disciplined man who values his hours will always command those who do not. This is why kings employ men to labor, merchants employ men to serve, generals employ soldiers to fight. The powerful do not waste themselves in endless toil. They master their time, then they command the time of others. But here lies the deeper truth. Time wasted is not simply time lost. It is opportunity destroyed. Every hour given to distraction is an hour stolen from mastery. Every day spent pleasing others is a day stolen from your rise to power. Each moment you squander is a brick removed from the fortress you could have built for yourself. And when the day comes that you look back, you will see that it was not fate, not luck, not enemies that destroyed you. It was your own hand, trading your time for nothing. To live as a man of power, you must treat time as your greatest weapon. Imagine every wasted moment as a blade turned against you, every lost day as an enemy's advance. If you do not protect your time, if you do not wield it with precision, others will use it for themselves, and you will find yourself living not for your own purpose, but for theirs. This is the first secret of success. The Machiavellian law that separates rulers from the ruled time is everything, and most men are too blind to see its value. From the time a man is born, he is told a lie. He is told that to put others before himself is virtue, that to sacrifice his ambition for the comfort of others is noble, that selfishness is evil and selflessness is holy. These are the chains that rulers, priests, and manipulators place upon men to keep them docile, obedient, and weak. And most men, eager to be loved, eager to be seen as good, accept these chains willingly, never realizing that they have signed away their strength. But I tell you this, self-interest is not evil, it is survival. Every man, whether prince or peasant, whether soldier or scholar, acts first and foremost for his own benefit. Even the man who sacrifices his life for another does so because it satisfies something within himself: pride, honor, glory, or the hope of eternal reward. Every act is rooted in self-interest. The difference between the powerful and the powerless lies in honesty. The weak disguise their self-interest under masks of morality, while the strong embrace it without apology. Look to nature, where no creature survives by serving another. The lion does not starve himself so that the gazelle may leave. The eagle does not clip its wings so that the sparrow may fly higher. Only man, deluded by false teachings, believes that his greatness is measured by how much he sacrifices himself for others. And what is the result? A society of slaves, men living lives of quiet misery, endlessly giving and never receiving, dying with nothing but regret. When you begin to focus on yourself, when you act from your own interest without shame, you step into the realm of the powerful. A prince who governs for the approval of others is no prince at all. He is merely a servant wearing a crown. He is pulled in every direction by the whims of the people, by the expectations of allies, by the judgments of rivals. But a prince who rules for his own interest, who calculates every move for his own advantage, becomes untouchable. He is steady where others are fickle, firm where others are fragile. Do not mistake this for cruelty without cause. To act in self-interest is not to be reckless, but to be strategic. The man who focuses on himself will sometimes give, will sometimes serve, will sometimes appear generous. But he does so always with purpose, always because it strengthens his position, always because it serves a larger design. Even kindness can be an act of self-interest if it wins loyalty, buys time, or secures influence. The difference is that the Machiavellian man never forgets why he acts, never forgets the gain that must be taken from the gesture. Most men live in fear of being called selfish. They are terrified of the disapproval that follows when they dare to put themselves first. And so they waste their lives appeasing others, giving away their energy to those who would never return it, sacrificing their own ambitions to fulfill the dreams of another. Tell me, what is gained from this? Nothing but weakness. Nothing but the slow death of wasted potential. The truth is that only by choosing yourself first can you ever become strong enough to help others in a meaningful way. A starving man cannot feed another. A powerless man cannot protect his family. A poor man cannot uplift his community. To focus on yourself, to strengthen your mind, body, and wealth, is to create the foundation upon which all other things are built. Yet most men reverse the order. They give before they have. They serve before they are strong. They sacrifice before they have built anything worth offering. Understand this, you owe the world nothing until you have secured yourself. And once you have secured yourself, once you have established power, wealth, and control, then and only then can you decide what you will give and on whose terms. Until then, every act of sacrifice is merely another brick in the prison of weakness that others are all too happy to see you build around yourself. Every man who desires power must ask himself one ruthless question: who or what is stealing from me? Not gold, not possessions, but the far greater treasure, my time, my focus, my energy. For it is not always enemies with swords who destroy us. Often it is the parasites who smile in our face, the distractions that whisper in our ear, the aimless companions who pull us into their pit of nothingness. These are the true assassins of greatness. The most dangerous chains are not forged of iron, but of obligation. Look around you. How many hours have you spent entertaining people who do not sharpen you? How many days have you wasted listening to the complaints of those who never act? How many years have slipped away because you carried the weight of people who would not carry their own? This is the disease of the weak. They surround themselves with the useless, and then they wonder why their life has produced nothing of worth. I tell you this, the parasites will never remove themselves. They will cling to you until your strength is drained, until your ambition is drowned, until your life belongs not to you, but to them. They take because you allow it. They distract because you do not cut them off. They survive because your mercy feeds them. And so the first law of power is also the coldest: remove them. Sever without hesitation. For every moment you allow them to remain, you are sacrificing your destiny at their altar of mediocrity. Do not mistake pity for virtue. Mercy to the wrong people is cruelty to yourself. If a man is weak, if a man is aimless, if a man cannot rise, then let him fall. If a companion wastes your time, if he poisons your mind with small thoughts, if he distracts you from your path, cast him aside. Harsh, yes, but remember your time is a blade. Keep it sharp, or it will dull in the service of others' trivialities. The parasites wear many faces. Some come as friends, urging you into distractions, into endless indulgence, into wasting your hours on pleasure instead of progress. Some come as family, demanding you sacrifice your ambition for their comfort, shaming you when you dare to focus on yourself. Some come as lovers, jealous of your growth, pulling you down so you remain within reach. And some come as society itself, telling you that it is selfish to chase greatness, telling you to stay small so others will not feel threatened. You must learn to see through every mask. You must learn to recognize the hand that robs you, even when it caresses your cheek. Consider the men of history who rose to power. They were not surrounded by the weak. Caesar did not march with cowards. Alexander did not share his table with idlers. Princes, merchants, generals, all who achieved greatness cut away the unworthy so that their circle was sharp, their environment pure, their focus undivided. They knew that a man is shaped by what surrounds him, and if he is surrounded by weakness, he will become weak. And so you must act with the same ruthlessness. Audit your life as a ruler audits his treasury. Look at every person, every habit, every activity, and ask, does this bring me closer to strength, or does it drain me? If it builds you, keep it. If it weakens you, cut it. Do not linger. Do not hesitate. A single parasite left alive will multiply until it consumes you entirely. The truth is simple. Distractions are the enemy of power. Parasites are the thieves of destiny. If you allow them to remain, you will never sharpen your mind. You will never rise above. You will never master your own life. But if you learn the discipline to cut them away, if you clear your path of the leeches and the fools, then every ounce of your energy flows toward your ambition. Every second of your time becomes fuel for your rise. Every breath becomes an act of power. To focus on yourself is not merely to turn away from others. It is to turn inward and forge yourself into something so formidable that the world cannot look away. It is to treat your body, your mind, your wealth, and your discipline as weapons to be sharpened daily. Most men think they are living when in truth they are only decaying, allowing themselves to grow weaker with every wasted hour. But the man who invests in himself, who pours his time into growth, builds a fortress that no enemy can breach. Consider how power is perceived. Men respect what they cannot ignore. They follow strength, they yield to authority, they admire discipline. Weakness invites pity at best, contempt at worst. If you wish to command respect, if you wish to be taken seriously in a world that eats the soft and spares no fool, you must first become the kind of man who commands it naturally. That comes only through relentless self-investment. The mind is the foundation. A man who cannot think with clarity, who cannot calculate, who cannot anticipate the moves of others, will forever be prey. Knowledge is the blade with which you cut through confusion. Study not to appear wise, but to arm yourself. Learn history, for it reveals the patterns of men. Learn strategy, for it teaches how to bend circumstances to your will. Learn the art of influence, for words move men more than weapons. Every book devoured, every lesson mastered, every skill honed sharpens the edge of your mind until it becomes a weapon no one can dull. The body is the armor. The world respects what is strong, what is disciplined, what radiates control. To let your body rot is to show the world that you lack mastery even over yourself. But when you build strength, when you carry yourself with power, when discipline is carved into your frame, you walk into every room with silent authority. You may not need to strike a single blow, yet your presence alone becomes a warning. Wealth is the resource. Do not be fooled by romantic notions that despise riches. Money is power in tangible form. It buys influence, it commands respect. It grants freedom from dependence on others. Without it, you are at the mercy of those who have it. To invest in yourself is to build wealth deliberately, not to worship gold, but to control it. For the man who controls money commands the loyalty of others, bends circumstances to his advantage, and secures independence that no one can strip from him. Discipline is the command. Without discipline, the mind remains idle, the body decays, and wealth slips through careless hands. Discipline is the silent master that ensures progress even when desire fades. Most men live by mood, by impulse, by weakness. They act only when they feel like it, and so they achieve nothing. But the man of discipline does not wait for desire. He acts because he has decided. He obeys his own command as though it were law. That is the true mark of power, the ability to govern oneself as ruthlessly as a ruler governs his state. And here lies the deeper secret. When you invest in yourself, every part of your life transforms. Men who once ignored you begin to watch. Women who once overlooked you begin to seek your attention. Rivals who once mocked you begin to fear your rise. This is not because you begged for their approval. It is because power cannot be hidden. Growth reveals itself. Discipline radiates. Strength speaks without words. When you build yourself, the world has no choice but to take notice. Most men will never know this power because they waste their time building others while leaving themselves empty. They are like architects designing castles for others while living in crumbling huts. They never grasp that the greatest gift they can give to the world is to become unignorable themselves. A strong man, a disciplined man, a wealthy man, a wise man. Such a man lifts the world merely by existing. This is the essence of focusing on yourself to become a fortress of strength. A weapon too sharp to be ignored, a man whose very presence bends the air around him. And every day wasted on distractions, every hour given away to parasites, every moment sacrificed for nothing, is a stone stolen from the fortress you should have built for yourself. Power does not begin with the control of others. It begins with the mastery of oneself. A man who cannot command his own mind, his own impulses, his own habits will never command anything beyond them. He will remain a servant, not because others enslave him, but because he has enslaved himself. The true Machiavellian secret is this: the one who rules himself completely inevitably rules others. Most men seek to control the world while remaining strangers to themselves. They crave influence, yet they cannot influence their own thoughts. They demand loyalty, yet they cannot remain loyal to their own goals. They wish to command nations, yet they cannot command their own appetites, their own distractions, their own laziness. These men will forever chase power, but never possess it, for they are fractured within. But the man who begins with self Mastery builds an empire before he ever touches the crown. He is disciplined in thought, precise in action, deliberate in speech. His emotions obey him. His desires are tamed. His impulses are trained to serve, not to rule. When he speaks, men listen not merely to his words, but to the weight of discipline behind them. When he acts, it is not impulse but calculation, not reaction but strategy. Such a man cannot be ignored, for he radiates authority without needing to demand it. Understand this: people are drawn to order, to certainty, to strength. Most men live in chaos, slaves to their moods, their cravings, their fears. They seek someone to lead them, someone whose steadiness becomes their anchor. This is why mastery of self inevitably leads to mastery of others. The man who governs himself with iron discipline will find that others naturally begin to orbit around him. They crave his certainty. They bend to his rhythm. They adjust themselves to his pace. You must imagine yourself as the axis upon which others revolve. The weak man spins around the demands of others, pulled this way and that, until he collapses from exhaustion. The strong man stands still, firm, immovable, and the world spins around him. He does not chase approval, it comes to him. He does not beg for respect, it is given to him. He does not pursue followers, they gather without invitation. All of this is the fruit of self-mastery. But to reach such mastery requires sacrifice. You must destroy the part of you that lives for comfort. You must silence the voice that seeks ease, that whispers for indulgence, that craves distraction. For every man carries within him two rulers, the tyrant of weakness and the prince of discipline. If you obey the tyrant, you will live and die in chains. If you crown the prince, your very life becomes a throne. When you rise early while others sleep, you are training yourself to rule. When you discipline your words, speaking with precision rather than noise, you are training yourself to rule. When you resist the temptations that devour most men, the drink, the lust, the endless pleasures, you are training yourself to rule. Every act of discipline is a declaration of sovereignty over yourself, and sovereignty over yourself is the foundation of sovereignty over others. This is why self-mastery is rare, and why men who possess it are feared and respected even in silence. A disciplined man walks into a room and commands attention without demanding it. His presence unsettles the lazy, challenges the unfocused, threatens the undisciplined. They may resent him, they may whisper against him, but they cannot ignore him. He becomes the measure by which others compare themselves, and in doing so, he becomes their master without ever lifting a sword. So remember, this true power is not seized in a single stroke, but forged in 1,000 daily victories over the self. The man who conquers kingdoms without first conquering himself builds empires that crumble. But the man who has mastery over his own thoughts, actions, and desires builds a power that cannot be taken, for it does not rest on the loyalty of others. It rests on the unshakable foundation of his own will. You have now seen the truth that most men will never face. Time is the only currency, yet they waste it. Self-interest is the law of survival, yet they deny it. Parasites surround them, yet they lack the courage to cut them away. They neglect their own growth, leaving their minds dull, their bodies weak, their wealth stolen by others. They fail to master themselves, and so they remain slaves. And when they die, they leave no trace, no echo, no legacy. But you are not here to be like most men. You are here to rise above them. You are here to sharpen yourself until the world cannot ignore you. You are here to focus on yourself with such ruthless discipline that distraction cannot touch you, weakness cannot infect you, and parasites cannot drain you. For when you master yourself, the world bends to your rhythm. When you crown yourself as your highest priority, you step into a power that others spend lifetimes chasing and never grasping. This is the Machiavellian secret to success. Focus on yourself without apology, without hesitation, without compromise. Build yourself into a fortress, a weapon, a legacy. Let others waste themselves in service of weakness. You were not born to serve, you were born to rule.